She was 7 years old when she first sensed something was amiss. She couldn't name it. She didn't have the words to explain, but she felt it, deep in her gut, whenever she was happy. Her mom would become strange whenever someone praised her. Her mom would change whenever she shined. Her mom would dim. And she started doing something that children should never have to do. She began to hide, to shrink herself, to apologize for even existing. This isn't just about bad mothers. This is about something far darker. Carl Jung discovered a wound that destroys entire generations of women, and no one even notices. The mother, who envies her own daughter. If you're a woman, and you've ever felt like your mother was competing with you instead of celebrating you, the next few minutes will explain everything you've experienced. If you felt that the more you shined, the more she withdrew. If you felt that your successes irritated her. If you felt that she subtly sabotaged your achievements in ways no one else could see. You weren't imagining things. It was real, and it has a name work in Jungian psychology. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the 5 invisible mechanisms that envious mothers use to tear down their daughters without leaving a trace. I'll explain why this happens through the Jungian theory of the shadow, and I'll show you the path to healing that Jung called individuation. But first, I need to tell you the story of a woman who spent 32 years not understanding why she felt invisible around her own mother. Her name was Emily. At 40 years old, she sat in a Jungian therapist's office and said something that had haunted her for decades. She said, "My mother hates me, but no one believes me." The therapist asked, "Why do you think she hates you?" Emily was silent for a long moment. Then she began to talk about things she had never said out loud before. "When I was 12, I won the school writing contest. I was so happy. I ran home to tell my mum. She looked at me and said, 'I don't know what all the fuss is about. When I was your age, I was winning much bigger awards.'" Emily paused, took a deep breath. "I remember feeling my chest sink, that feeling that my joy was wrong, that I shouldn't have been so happy." The therapist asked, "And what did you do with that feeling?" Emily responded, "I learned to never celebrate anything around her again. In fact, I learned to never celebrate anything, period." That's the first mechanism of the envious mother. Systematic minimization of her daughter's achievements. Whenever the daughter shines, the mother diminishes her. Not through direct criticism. That would be too obvious. But through subtle comparison. Calculated indifference is changing the subject. The message the daughter receives is clear. Your joy bothers me. Your success threatens me. Your light dims mine. And the daughter, who needs her mother's love to survive, does the only thing she can do. She stops shining. But why would a mother do this to her own daughter? This is where Jung helps us understand. Jung discovered that we all have a shadow, a part of the psyche that contains everything we reject in ourselves, everything we don't want to see, everything we bury. And the shadow doesn't disappear just because we ignore it. It projects. A mother who hasn't realized her own dreams sees in her daughter a constant reminder of what could have been. A mother who has lost her youth sees in her daughter a mirror of the beauty she no longer possesses. A mother who sacrificed herself for the family sees in her daughter the freedom she never had. And instead of celebrating, she attacks, not because she hates her daughter, but because her daughter has become an unbearable mirror of her own shadow. Jung called this projection. The mother isn't attacking the daughter. The mother is attacking a part of herself that she can't tolerate. And the daughter, without understanding any of this, absorbs the poison as if she deserved it. Emily continued her story. "When I was 16, I was getting ready for a party. It was the first time I was going to wear makeup. I felt pretty. My mom came into the room, looked at me, and said, with that tone she had, 'Do you really think that looks good on you? It looks like you're trying too hard.' Emily swallowed hard. I took off all the makeup, went to the party feeling ugly, Spent the whole night in the corner, invisible, the therapist asked. And how did you feel in that moment? Emily responded. Like beauty was forbidden to me. Like trying to be pretty was arrogance, like I didn't have the right. That's the second mechanism. Sabotage of self-esteem and femininity. Envious mothers attack exactly where it hurts most. The daughter's nascent beauty, her developing femininity, the body that's changing. And they do this through comments that seem like concern. You're going out like that. Be careful not to look vulgar. I don't think that dress flatters your body. On the outside, it looks like caring. On the inside, it's destruction. The daughter of an envious mother develops a distorted relationship with her own femininity. She either hides, wearing baggy clothes, avoiding attention, making herself invisible, or she shows off compulsively, seeking external validation because she never received internal validation, or she oscillates between the two, never finding balance. Jung would say that the anima archetype, the internal feminine, was wounded at the source, and wounds at the source are the hardest to heal. But hold on, because what I'm about to reveal now is even more disturbing. There's a third mechanism that envious mothers use, and this one is almost impossible to detect. Emily recounted another episode. When I was 24, I was engaged. My fiancé was wonderful. I was truly happy for the first time. One day, my mom called me to talk, said she needed to tell me something important, something she had discovered about him. Emily paused, her eyes filled with tears. She told me that he had cheated on me, said that a friend of hers had seen him with another woman, the therapist asked. And was it true? Emily shook her head. No, I found out years later. It was a lie. She made it all up, but at the time, I believed her. I broke off the engagement. He was devastated. I was devastated, the therapist asked gently. And your mother? How did she react when you broke up? Emily closed her eyes. She seemed relieved, almost satisfied, that it was for the best, that I would find someone better. But I never found anyone who loved me like that again. That's the third mechanism. Sabotage of relationships. Envious mothers can't stand to see their daughters loved by others, because every person who loves the daughter exposes the mother's inability to love. So they sabotage, plant doubts, they create conflicts, they invent stories. And when the relationship falls apart, they're right there, consoling, saying they knew it all along, being the only person left. The daughter becomes trapped, emotionally dependent on the person who is destroying her. Jung identified this pattern as part of the devouring mother archetype, the mother who can't let her daughter grow up, who can't allow her daughter to be loved by others, who needs to be the center of her daughter's emotional universe, and the daughter, without realizing it, gets caught in this web, unable to form healthy bond, unable to trust her own perception, unable to believe she deserves love. Are you starting to see how this works? Each mechanism reinforces the other. Each wound opens space for the next. Each act of sabotage further weakens the ability to resist, and the daughter, who began as a child full of light, slowly fades away until she becomes a woman who no longer knows who she is. Now I'm going to reveal the fourth mechanism, and this is perhaps the most cruel of all, because this mechanism uses love as a weapon. Emily continued. My mother never hit me, never yelled at me, never called me nasty names. On the outside, she was a perfect mother. Everyone admired her. They said I was lucky to have a mother like her, but it was all conditional. When I did what she wanted, she loved me. When I tried to be myself, she withdrew. Emily looked at the therapist. I spent my entire life trying to be what she wanted, and it was never enough. There was always something more I needed to change. There was always something I was doing wrong. This is the fourth mechanism, conditional love, disguised as high expectations. The envious mother doesn't attack directly, she conditions. I love you when you're invisible. I love you when you don't threaten me. I love you when you don't shine brighter than me. And the daughter, desperate for love, does the impossible. She kills parts of herself to fit into her mother's mold. Jung called this the murder of the true self. The true self, that authentic and spontaneous part we are born with, is systematically destroyed. In its place arises a false self, a persona created to please, to survive, to not provoke the mother's envy. And this false self, over time, seems to be the real person. The daughter forgets who she was before, forgets her dreams, forgets her desires, forgets her own identity. If you're watching this and feeling something tightening in your chest, I need to tell you something. What you're feeling is recognition. It's your body remembering what your mind has tried to forget. It's not weakness. It's not exaggeration. It's not imagination. It's validation of something real that happened to you. Now comes the fifth mechanism, the most invisible of all. And this explains why daughters of envious mothers have so much trouble seeing what happened. Emily said something that sums it all up. When I told other people what my mother did, no one believed me. They'd say, "But your mother is so caring. Your mother is so dedicated. You must be exaggerating." And I started to doubt myself. Was I making it up? Was I being ungrateful? Was I the problem? This is the fifth mechanism, collective gaslighting. The envious mother is an expert at showing one face to the world and another face to her daughter. To the outside world, she is loving, dedicated, perfect. To the daughter, she is cold, competitive, destructive. And when the daughter tries to tell the truth, no one believes her, because everyone has only seen the mask. Jung called this mask the persona. The persona is the face we show to the world. Social adaptation, public image, and narcissistic envious mothers have perfect personas. They know exactly how to seem loving without ever truly loving, and this leaves the daughter completely alone, without witnesses, without validation, without anyone who believes her. The wound isn't just the envy. The wound is the loneliness of having been abused without proof. The wound is the insanity of knowing something was wrong and being convinced that you were wrong. The wound is a lifetime doubting your own perception. Emily was 40 years old when she finally found a therapist who believed her. 40 years carrying an invisible wound. 40 years wondering if she was the problem. 40 years trying to be enough for someone who would never allow her to be. And then, something began to change. The therapist explained to Emily the concept of shadow projection. She said, "Your mother wasn't attacking you. Your mother was attacking a part of herself that she saw reflected in you. Your youth reminded her of her lost youth. Your beauty reminded her of the beauty she no longer had. Your dreams reminded her of the dreams she abandoned. And she couldn't tolerate that mirror. So she tried to break the mirror. You were the mirror." Emily was silent for a long time. Then she said something that changed everything. She said, "So, it wasn't about me." The therapist replied, "It was never about you. It was always about her inability to integrate her own shadow." Emily began to cry. 32 years of pain began to make sense. Here is what Jung teaches us about healing. The envious mother projects her shadow onto her daughter because she cannot integrate it within herself. She hates in her daughter what she cannot accept in herself. And the daughter, absorbing this projection, begins to hate herself as well. The healing begins when the daughter understands, "This was never mine. I was carrying her shadow." But understanding is not enough. Jung said that it's not enough to have intellectual insight. It is necessary to integrate emotionally. It is necessary to grieve. Grieve for the mother you never had. Grieve for the love you never received. Grieve for the childhood that was stolen. And then it is necessary to reparent. Become the mother you needed. Give yourself what you never received. Emily spent 2 years in therapy. Little by little, she began to rescue parts of herself that she had buried. The girl who liked to write, who had won the school writing contest and was forbidden to celebrate. The teenager who wanted to be pretty, who was shamed for trying. The young woman who loved and was separated from her love by a lie. All these parts were alive, hidden in the shadow, waiting to be rescued. Jung called this process individuation, becoming who you really are, integrating all parts of yourself, rescuing what was buried, healing what was wounded. It's the work of a lifetime, but it's the only path to freedom. If you grew up with an envious mother, I need to tell you some important things. First, you weren't imagining it. It was real. Your body knows the truth, even when your mind doubts it. Second, it wasn't about you. You became the mirror of her shadow. The envy was hers, not your fault. Third, you can heal. The true self never dies. It goes into the shadow, but it can be rescued. Fourth, you deserve to be seen. You deserve to be celebrated. You deserve to shine without apologizing. Healing doesn't mean your mother will change. She will probably never recognize what she did. She'll probably deny it to the very end, and that's one of the hardest parts. Mourning a mother who is still alive, but will never be the mother you needed. But you can become that mother for yourself. You can look in the mirror and say, "You are beautiful." You can celebrate your accomplishments without needing anyone's approval. You can love and be loved without fear of sabotage. You can finally occupy the space that was always yours. Emily, at 42 years old, wrote a letter, not to her mother, to herself. To the 7-year-old girl who noticed something was wrong and spent decades trying to understand. The letter said, "You were right. Something was wrong, but it wasn't you. You are beautiful. You always were. Even when they made you believe you weren't. You deserve love. You always deserved it. Even when they made you compete for crumbs. You can shine now. It's safe. No one will extinguish you." If this revelation about envious mothers touched something deep within you, I need to share something. This channel exists because some truths need to be told, because some wounds need to be named, because some women have spent decades not knowing that they weren't the problem. Each video like this takes hours of research into Jung and depth psychology. Each story is carefully constructed to validate what you've experienced without re-traumatizing you. When you click the Super Thanks button down below, you're not just supporting a channel. You're saying that this truth about envious mothers needs to be known, that other women need to hear this, that the silence about this invisible abuse needs to end. You're part of a community of people who are breaking generational cycles, who are healing wounds they didn't even know had names. But before I continue, I need to show you something that Carl Jung discovered about the different types of envious mothers. Because not every envious mother acts the same way, and understanding which type you had is fundamental for healing. The first type is the directly competitive mother. This mother competes openly. She needs to be the most beautiful, the most intelligent, the most admired. When the daughter receives attention, she diverts the attention to herself. When the daughter is praised, she tells a story about herself that surpasses the praise. She needs to win, always. The second type is the silently sabotaging mother. This mother never competes directly. On the outside, she seems supportive, but behind the scenes, she sabotages, forgets to warn about important deadlines, plants doubts before crucial moments, creates obstacles that seem like accidents. She's never caught, because she always has a plausible excuse. And the daughter lives with the feeling that things always go wrong, without knowing why. The third type is the eternally victimized mother. This mother doesn't attack the daughter directly. She plays the victim. Whenever the daughter achieves something, the mother gets sick, has a crisis, needs urgent attention. The daughter learns that her success causes suffering in the mother, and to protect the mother, she stops being successful. The fourth type is the identity-stealing mother. This mother appropriates everything the daughter is. If the daughter likes something, the mother starts to like it too. If the daughter has a talent, the mother says she also had that talent. If the daughter has an opinion, the mother adopts the same opinion as if it were her own. The daughter can't have anything that's only hers. Her identity is constantly invaded and stolen. The fifth type is the secretly envious mother. This mother loves her daughter genuinely. She tries to, but she has an unhealed pain she never processed. A shadow she never integrated, and that shadow leaks out in moments of weakness, in casual comments, in glances that last a second too long. The daughter feels the envy, but can't prove it, because even the mother herself doesn't know she feels envy. It's the most confusing type of all. Jung teaches us that these types aren't mutually exclusive. A mother can be several types at the same time, or change types depending on the moment. The important thing isn't to label the mother. The important thing is to recognize the patterns in order to heal them. Now let me tell you something that few therapists talk about. The body stores the memory of maternal envy. Even when the mind forgets, the body remembers. Emily told her Jungian therapist about physical sensations she'd had since childhood. A tightness in her chest when someone praised her. A desire to hide when she received attention. Nausea before events, where she would be the center of attention. The therapist explained, "Your body learned that shining is dangerous, and each time you shone, came the punishment from your mother. So your body developed an automatic alert response. Today, even without your mother around, your body still reacts as if the danger exists. This is called trauma stored in the body. And it's not enough to work with the mind to heal. It's necessary to work with the body too." Emily started doing body awareness exercises. She learned to identify where the tension accumulated when she received compliments. It was in her shoulders, in her chest, in her throat. Places where she had learned to contract in order not to appear too much. Gradually, she was releasing that tension, not all at once. The body doesn't change quickly. But gradually she was learning to receive attention without contracting, to be praised without feeling that something bad would come next, to occupy space without apologizing. If you have physical symptoms when you shine, that's not weakness. It's your body protecting you from a danger that existed in the past. Thanking your body for having protected you is the first step. Then comes teaching the body that the danger has passed, that now it's safe to shine. Now let me tell you what happens when healing really begins, when the daughter of an envious mother begins to individuate. Something interesting happens. The mother intensifies the attacks because she feels that she's losing control, that the mirror is breaking free, that the daughter is finally occupying the space that was always hers. It's necessary to be prepared for this. Emily recounted the moment she confronted her mom. She was 43 years old, had spent 3 years in therapy. She was finally whole enough to speak. She said to her mom, "I know what you did. I know you competed with me. I know you sabotaged my relationships. I know you made me believe I was the problem." Her mom reacted exactly as Emily expected. She denied everything. Said Emily was ungrateful, that she'd given her everything, that she was going crazy, gaslighting. One last time. But this time, it didn't work. Emily looked at her mom and said, "I don't need you to acknowledge it anymore. I know what I lived, I know who I am, and I'm not going to hide anymore, just so you can feel comfortable." And she left. Not to never speak to her mom again, but to finally speak to herself. Individuation doesn't mean cutting contact. Sometimes it does mean that. Sometimes it's necessary. But true individuation is internal. It's about stopping the need for your mom to change for you to heal. It's about stopping the wait for the love that's never going to come and becoming the source of your own worth. Emily is now 45 years old. She still speaks to her mom, but in a different way, with boundaries, with healthy emotional distance, with the clarity of someone who knows what happened and chooses not to be a victim anymore. Her mom continues to be who she's always been. Some people just don't change. But Emily changed, and that was enough. If you have an envious mother, here are the practical steps that Carl Jung teaches us. First, recognize the 5 mechanisms: minimization of achievements, sabotage of femininity, destruction of relationships, conditional love, collective gaslighting. Identify which ones you experienced. Second, understand projection. Your mom was projecting her shadow onto you. The envy was never about you being too much. It was about her not being able to integrate what she saw reflected in you. Third, grieve. Mourn the mother you never had, for the childhood that was stolen, for the love that should have been unconditional and never was. Fourth, reparent. Become the mother you needed. Celebrate your achievements. Validate your beauty. Support your relationships. Give yourself what you never received. Fifth, establish boundaries. You don't have to cut contact, but you need to protect your space. You need to stop exposing yourself to the attacks. You need to choose your mental health. First. Sixth, shine. Without apologizing, without hiding, without fear of being too much. The space was always yours. Now it's time to occupy it. Before I finish, I need to talk about generational transmission. Women who were envied by their mothers have a tendency to envy their own daughters. Not because they want to, not because they're bad, but because unintegrated complexes repeat. The pain you don't heal, you transmit. Carl Jung said that the greatest gift we can give our children is our own individuation. When you heal your wound with your mother, you interrupt the cycle. When you integrate your shadow, you stop projecting it onto your children. When you become whole, you can finally love completely. So, if you have daughters, this work is even more urgent, not just for your children, but for yourself. Because you deserve to be free from this inheritance. You deserve to look at your daughter and feel pure joy, not threat. You deserve to celebrate without competing. You deserve to love without conditioning. The 7-year-old girl who realized something was wrong is still inside of you. She never left. She's waiting to be seen, to be validated, to be loved unconditionally. And now, you can do that for her. You can look in the mirror and say, I see you. I believe in you. You were never the problem. And finally, start living as the woman you've always been, without hiding, without diminishing yourself, without apologizing for shining. If this video opened your eyes to a wound you were carrying without a name, I need to know, did your mother celebrate you or compete with you? Write celebrated or competed in the comments. And if you want, share a memory that marked you. I read all the comments in the first 2 hours because these stories matter. Your story matters, and the silence about envious mothers needs to end. Subscribe and hit the bell. There's much more to reveal about childhood wounds that shape who we become. And remember, you were never too much. You were exactly right. It was her who couldn't tolerate your brilliance. Now it's time to shine again.